got the stream going live. Everything's running smooth. Just gotta make sure the YouTube chat is up. Give you guys some time to get online. Maybe, can I edit this video now? Well, it'd be nice if I could. Because this is definitely not green. I'll edit it afterwards. Pop out chats. Okey-dokey. Hope you're all having a great evening so far. I know some of you guys came into my class today to get extra math help, so that was good. Let's see here. We got 2 people watching. Technically myself is one of them because I have to pull up this chat. So what I'll do while people are getting online, I'm going to just start going through each of the questions in just, orderly fashion. Postpone it. Dang. Well, I'm sorry, Parker. I promise you I'm not a normal math teacher. I don't conspire. Wait, did I just say I'm not a normal math teacher? Wow, that came out wrong. I'm not one of those math teachers that conspires with the other teachers and it's like, hey, let's put all our tests on the same day. I ain't about that thug life. So, just do the best you can, Parker. I know you're probably going to be uberly stressed out, but you got this. I believe in you. Alright? So if you guys have questions, just post them in the chat. I'm just going to go straight through the packet. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them in an orderly and timely fashion. But without further ado, actually, one more thing I gotta fix. What up, child? Okay, so here we go. Got the first triangle here. Special right triangle. It does say, do not use trig to solve it. We're using our 30, 60, 90 triangles, 45, 45, 90s. So in a 30, 60, 90, I know I didn't teach it to you guys this way, but if you have your short side here, right, we call that ratio A. We have our long leg, which we call A rad 3, and then we have our hypotenuse, which is 2A. So the part that matches up, right, this is smaller than this one. So what I'm going to do is match the small to the small, the long leg to the long leg, the hypotenuse to the hypotenuse. And so from here I'm just going to say, oh look, 2A equals 36. So then you just solve for A. It's the same work as what we've done before. The difference is, if you don't want to write out the formulas, you could do it this way too. So then A is going to equal 18. Now that A is in the same spot as X. So X equals 18. My Y is in the spot as A rad 3. Well, we know what A is. It's 18. So Y equals 18 rad 3. Alright, Ariana's got the first question. She says number 12. Let's jump right to it. That's 13. Here we go. I wish to solve for both angle X and Y. What I'm going to do first is say, pick an angle. It doesn't matter which one. This is one of the ones where we're going to have to use trig. I'm going to say, let's put our little blue dude here. So with respect to the blue figure, 8 is opposite and 6 is adjacent. Okay? So then right here, I would think, I've got this ancient math tribal chant, and I've got to remember the correct order of the letters, and I have to remember that None of these letters can be switched. This is the exact order. So, oh, wait. Opposite adjacent. Tangent. So we're going to say tangent of x, since I don't know the angle, equals 8 over 6. Opposite over adjacent. To solve for the angle, remember I told you guys we can move that trig function over, but secretly what we're doing is we're taking the inverse tangent of both sides. We're saying, hey, what angle produces this ratio? So then that's going to give you said angle. If I had my calculator out and I was ready. Oh my goodness, I just realized I did not have my clip on mic. Wow. Embarrassing. If you guys were on here, could you tell me how much of that you actually heard? Because this is kind of embarrassing. Good job, Mr. T. All right. Calculator. That's not a calculator. Here we go. Okay. 7, 15, 19. Wow, we got a lot of questions. This is good. Okay. Thanks, Ariana. Long story short, were you able to follow a decent part of it? Oh my gosh. Okay. Mr. T, get your act together. All right. Inverse tangent of 8 divided by 6. And then I get a nice 53 degrees. So that's my angle there. Now, just needed the reminder. Okay, cool. So one thing to note here is if you remember that all three angles in the triangle have to add up to 180. Hi, Riley. I miss you too, dear. Hope you're doing good in Algebra 2 Trig. One thing to note is that if I chose to solve for y, I'm still going to need trig. But if you solve for x already, you don't need trig for y because you can just add up all the angles and make sure they add up to 180, right? So now let's pretend I said, hey, you do not know the value of x. You decided to be different and solve for the value of y. So this is where our little Pablo Picasso is right here, right? So with respect to y, 6 is now the opposite. 8 is now the adjacent. So we're going to go ahead and say, again, tangent of y, I can write, I promise, equals 6 over 8. Again, same thing, we're just doing inverse trig, so inverse tangent, and that's going to spit out for us, I believe it's going to be 37 degrees. It's like 37 point, or 36 point something. That one I knew in my head because math. So yeah, so there we go. Yay, Ariana, hopefully that helped you. Let me know in the comments. 21 pilots, we're gonna go number 19. This is the review. You weren't in class, Burger, so you don't have to take the test, but you will need to pick this up from me later, okay? Cool. So, let's see here, 19, 15, and 7. Let me fill those in. 19, 15, 7. Cool. Okay, so we said 19, no, yeah, 19. We're going backwards, yay! 2 hills are 2 miles apart, all right? The taller hill is 2,707 feet high. The angle of depression from the top to the bottom is 7 degrees. Find the height of the shorter hill. Now, one thing you guys got to remember here, I've given you units in miles and then units in feet. We're going to probably want to convert the miles to feet because that's just easier. Oh, you guys are lucky I gave you all the conversion right there. Yeah. So check this out. We're going to say that those 2 miles, so here's hill 1, here's hill 2. Drawing not to scale, not a big deal, okay? The distance between them, that's our 2 miles, so 5,280 times 2, that's 10,560 feet, okay? Now we know the taller hill is 2,000 707 feet. Our angle of depression from the top of the taller one to the shorter one is 7 degrees. So again, really remembering that our angle of depression is formed by the horizontal line that's formed out of, you know, like if we pretended there was someone viewing it, right? And then we drew a connector, our little line of sight here. This is our 7 degrees, right? So if we remember that we could create this line here, which is parallel to this line, not only are they parallel, they're also congruent. So if this bottom one is 10,560 feet, so is this one, 10,560 feet. Okay? The other thing too is now I can use my alternate interior angles to put the 7 degrees right there. Alright, so if we think about this, the shorter mountain is this height here. So what I'm going to want to do is solve for this part of my height here first. Let's call this x. Okay? We're going to call this y. So to find the value of y, I need to take the value of x and take it away from this 2,707 feet. So let's get to it. Analyzing this triangle here, right? That's the triangle we want to look at. Well, I have the 7 degrees, I have the adjacent side, I have the opposite side, literally screaming tangent. Tangent, 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 tangent. So tangent of 7 equals x over 10,560. So there's our ratio. You get x by itself by multiplying both sides by 10,560. Okay, so then we're going to have x equals 10,560 tangent of 7. Got to type that into the calculator. So let's see here. 1,560 tangent of 7. So I get a height of 1,296.6. Now, don't round your answer yet. Okay, we're going to keep everything that's in our calculator, and I'm going to try to show you guys. I'm realizing that my screen brightness is not that high up. So there we go. Let's see. I have to be able to see what I'm seeing on here too. So right there. Ooh, definitely can't see that. Wait. Ah. All right, that's our answer. Right? But now I need to take that answer and subtract this from 2707. So 2707 minus my answer. Oh my gosh, my phone is not the best calculator. So I get this nice solid 1,410. Now, round it to what? Let's see here. To the nearest foot. So this is going to get us 1,410.395, blah, 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 which is approximately 1,410 feet. Alrighty. We got this. Cool beans. Okay, so then after 19, we said we would look at 15 and then 7. Right, so 15, here we go. All right, a right triangle has a hypotenuse. So let's draw a right triangle first off. You're still lost. Okay, let me go back to that one then. Zoe, what part are you lost at? Ask a question. I know this will take like however many seconds to get back on the stream. There's always that slight delay. How did I know I was tangent? Okay, so if I go to this triangle here, I'm going to pretend that my stick figure is right at the corner where the angle is. So if I kind of pretend, yay, I'm right here, that's 7 degrees, looks at this part, which is here. This is the opposite. The only other information I have is this length down here. This is adjacent because it's right next to the stick figure. Ethan, I appreciate the compliment. I hope that, you know, it's been very helpful for y'all. Let me highlight 20 before I forget. So Zoe, I hope that was helpful to you. I apologize if I rushed a little bit. Adjacent, opposite, tangent. Thank you. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our 15, 9, and then we'll go to 20 for Ariana. So here's our right triangle. The hypotenuse is 7 rad 3 over 2. Okay, so then we also know that the shortest side is equal to half the hypotenuse. Well, we have a couple of options here, right? We're saying that the shortest side is half the hypotenuse. So if I wanted to, I could say 1/2 of the hypotenuse. I could literally say take half of that value. And I would simply get 7 rad 3 over 4. That is my short side. Now, if you remember, one of our special right triangles states that, hey, the relationship from the hypotenuse and the short leg is that you double the short leg to get the hypotenuse. Well, this is going backwards. This is saying, hey, half of the hypotenuse is the short leg. Then that means that this is actually secretly our 30, 60, 90 triangle. So then if I want to find the long leg, remember we say that the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. So all I have to do is take my 7 rad 3 over 4 and multiply it by the square root of 3. Well, square root of 3 times square root of 3 should give me a plain old 3. So 7 times 3 all over 4. So this gives us 21/4. Now, let's pretend you're like, oh my god, Mr. T, I have no idea what you just said. Which I'm willing to bet you, like most of you, had no idea what I was saying. If you can get as far as figuring out that 2 of the sides, in terms of, I know the lengths of 2 of the sides, then what you could do is you could just say, hey, it's a right triangle. What can I use on any right triangle? The Pythagorean Theorem. So your Pythagorean Theorem could help you here, right? If you decided, hey, you want to go through and say, you know, the hypotenuse, so 7 rad 3 over 2 squared equals, well, you're going to have to know what that short side is anyways, so you have to know how to take half of the hypotenuse. Let's call the other side x squared plus 7 rad 3 over 4 squared. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is not going to look pretty because I got to square the 7, then take the square root of 3 and square that, multiply that with what 7 squared is. Then I have to square the 4. You're dealing with fractions. So it's possible, but not optimal. Right? Like this is just going to throw too many people in confusion. So I'm going to opt into saying, hey, you got to know your relationships. You got to know what they mean if they're verbally said out loud to you. Okay, so I would just recommend, again, remembering, hey, you know your special right triangles. Right? You got to know that. Believe I said number 7. Yep. Abby, I got you on number 7. Someone else asked for another number 7. Ethan did. So we're good. I got a double dipper there. So right here, I'm solving for x and y. This should look awfully familiar. It's very similar to your quiz question. So we place our good old stick figure here. Opposite of that is our 11. Adjacent to it is x. The hypotenuse is y. So again, looking at this, we're saying, how am I going to solve for x? Look at your trigs. So if I see opposite and adjacent, then that's TOA. So I'm going to use tangent of 54 degrees equals 11 over x. Opposite over adjacent. Okay? So then from here, we're going to go ahead and multiply both sides by x. Whatever's in the bottom, you multiply it out. Okay? That's always got to be your first step. All right? So then here, we're going to have x tangent of 54 equals 11. Okay, here we got to divide out tangent of 54. And I highly encourage you to show all these steps because not only is it good for me grading, you're less likely to get confused. Trust me, I've seen some of you get confused by your own writing and then you have no idea what you're doing. Don't want to call anyone out specifically, but I've talked to a couple of you. And then here, this is what we're going to type. You found your mistake? Well, if anyone else needs number 11, I can still do 11. So don't worry. Now let's look at solving for y. Y has the hypotenuse, and the only information I was given was that 11. So I'm dealing with the opposite and the hypotenuse. So that means I'm going to be doing so. So that's going to be sine. So we're going to do another trig here. We're going to do sine of 54 equals 11 over x. Work our way through that times x. So then you're going to have x sine of 54 equals 11. Divide both sides by sine of 54. So then x equals 11 over sine of 54. I didn't type either of those answers into my calculator, but you all should, and that'll give you guys your answer. Yes, totally got it. So let's hear, that was 7, covered for both people. 11 we can do later. Ariana has a question on number 20. Alright, so let's take a look at number 20. Again, if you guys have any questions, please ask. You should be getting the right answer. If for some reason your calculator is not spitting out the right answer, you want to make sure you check how you typed it in. Also, make sure your calculators are in degree mode and not in radian mode. What up, Dustin? All right, number 20. Ah, yes, the infamous non-right triangle. So we have to use either the law of sines or law of cosines. What's up, AJ? So check this out. I've told y'all that if you have an angle and you have the side opposite it, that's a big indicator for the law of sines. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to say sine of the angle. Do not put a side length into a trig function. That is a recipe for disaster. Sine of 120 over 18 equals. Now the only other information I have here is this 11, and it's pointing to angle y. So I have to solve that. So I say sine of y over 11. We're going to cross multiply everything. So we're going to get 11 sine of 120 equals 18 sine of y. All right. Now I'm going to divide out the 18 to get the sine of y by itself. So then I have sine of y equals 11 sine of 120 all over 18. Now at this point, you're going to want to take the inverse sine. So y equals inverse sine, or you'll sometimes hear a different math teacher maybe say arc sine. Same thing. 11 sine of 120 all over 18. Now, I'm going to type it into my calculator and make sure that you guys see all the syntax that I'm going to put into it. Make sure that you close off your parentheses. You guys are putting stuff in the right order. 11 sine of 120 divided by 18. Now I have not hit enter yet. Gotta move the iPad. Make sure you guys can see this. Right? My calculator says a sine. That's arc sine. It's the same thing, inverse sine. The symbols are all right there. Although I didn't leave it on second, but still. Right? You see that I've put my parentheses, closed everything off the correct way. And I don't know if you can read that, but that answer is 31.95. Since this is an angle, we're going to round it to a whole number. So that's going to be 32 degrees. All right, so 32 degrees is the value of angle y. So we're going to plug that in right here, 32 degrees. Now, I need to solve for angle x. So I believe we can do 180 minus the 120 plus 32, which is 152. So that'll give us a nice 28 degrees. Okay, now I have to use that 28 degrees to help me solve for this missing side here, which we're going to call little x. Right? The law of sines, I tell you all, use the same information you were given before. Don't use this, okay? Do not use that information because it was an approximated answer. It was not an exact answer given to you. So we're going to say sine of 120 again over 18. Realize my 120 does not look like a 120. That's going to equal sine of 28 degrees over x. Cross multiply, all that fun jazz. And then isolate your variable. So then x equals, ooh. We can't use the Pythagorean Theorem if it's not a right triangle, dude. Please don't use the Pythagorean Theorem on a non-right triangle. You will definitely not be my favorite student ever again. Where was I at? All right, gotta type that in the calculator. All right, so here we go. 18 sine 28 divided by sine of 120. And then we get that beautiful answer. My bad. So we got 9.75. If we're rounding it to the nearest decimal, to the nearest tenth, tenth means one decimal, that's going to give us 9.8. All right, so we took care of number 20. That was Ariana's question. Hopefully that was helpful for her. Now I'm going to take a little breather just to kind of see if you all have any other questions. You know, I could do the whole thing, but it's already 7 o'clock, and unless I literally just speed run through the whole thing and don't answer questions, right, you're not going to get the most out of this session. It's only been about half an hour anyway, so, you know, not a big deal. But also, you know, I want to make sure that you guys are getting the right amount of help. So are there any questions in terms of concepts, in terms of any problems you want to look at? 21 and 22. Of course you would want me to finish up the rest of these, Ariana. Good job. Okay, I don't mind doing it. We just have to make sure that before we do it, you guys have your notes out for that section. Ethan, I think what I'll do is I'll cover 21 and 22 first before we go to 13, just because we're still on this, you know, non-right triangle trigonometry that we're doing. Make sure you have your notes out for the law of cosines, because on the front page we have the rules for what you do when you do a side angle side triangle. And on the back side, we have the rules for what you do when you're solving a side-side-side triangle. Okay, those are going to be very crucial for you to have. Okay, so on 21, I'm taking a look there and I'm seeing, hey, I don't have any angles. If I don't have any angles given to me, there's no way that I can set up the law of sines. Therefore, I'm going to have to do the law of cosines. Now, the stipulation for you all, because I told you guys I wasn't going to teach you all about the ambiguous case of triangles. Again, very ambiguous. But what you have to remember is, in order to avoid any weird answers that are different from mine, you have to follow those guidelines. The first step was to solve for the largest angle. And the largest angle is always going to be across from the longest side. So if here's my 19, I'm solving for angle M. So in my formula, that means little m is going to start the equation and end the equation. The order of the middle letters does not matter. You could put p squared plus n squared, or n squared plus p squared. Does not matter. N squared plus p squared minus 2 times n, I don't know why I did that, n times p cosine of angle M. Okay, now I'm going to replace all the little letters with the numbers, and then the big letter is the one we're solving for. So here we go. 19 squared equals 14 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 14 times 11 cosine of M. Now we're going to multiply out everything. I don't have all these numbers memorized, okay? So I gotta, get my act together. Mr. T, you better memorize all of these. You're so funny. Okay, so we got 361. I can do this. 361. 14 squared is 196, 11 squared is 121. Now 2 times 14 is 28. 28 times 11 is 308. Right? Now at this point, you got to be careful with your order of operations. We cannot add all three of the numbers on the right side. We can only add these two because there's no cosine attached to them. Right, so that's going to be 300, and what is that, 17? 317. And now this is just our algebra problem. This is just us now solving for cosine. So we're going to subtract 317 from both sides. So then we're going to have, what is that, 7, 4, 5, 4. So 44 is equal to negative 308 cosine of M. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to divide out the 308 But not just a plain old 308, a negative 308. Whatever sign is there, right, that's what we're going to divide out. Okay, and I'm just double checking. Okay. Okay, cool. My phone is being beautiful. Now, the cosine of m is by itself. Cosine of m equals your fraction, and I don't know why I put the parentheses there, negative 44 over 308. If you keep the negative down below, it's not going to change it. I just want to make sure you guys understand that if there's only one negative, it doesn't matter if it's on the top or the bottom. Okay, so then solving for m, we get inverse cosine of negative 44 over 308. Type that into my beautiful calculator. Inverse cosine, negative 44 divided by 308. And I get a whopping 98.2. So the angle M is 98 degrees. Okay. Take that 98 degrees, put it here. Now we can actually use the law of sines. Now if you're looking at the guidelines, the second guideline says once you solve for that angle, just use the law of sines. And it doesn't matter which one you solve for now, because now you've actually taken care of the largest angle, so you just have to worry about solving for the missing angle. I know that sounds weird, but the largest angle, if you didn't solve for it first, is the reason why you could end up with the second answer. Okay, so let's say we solve for angle n, because why not? Okay, so I would say sine of 98 over 19 equals sine of 14. I don't know why I just said that. I literally told you guys don't ever put a side length in. Whoops. Sine of n over 14. Cross multiply and solve. So 19 sine of n equals, why can't I math? 14 sine of n, no, 98. Okay, now we divide both sides by 19. So then sine of n equals 14 sine of 98 over 19. Take the inverse sine of both. I just dropped my n there. Good job. N equals inverse sine of 14 sine of 98 over 19. Is there a faster way to do this? Yeah, just be good at math, Cameron. Just be good at math. Or just build a program that does it all for you. But you know, whatever. Inverse sine 14 sine 98 divided by 19. I get 46.8, so 47 degrees. So 47 degrees. Now, once you have that angle, you just remember that, hey, all three angles are going to add up to 180. So 180 minus, I can math this, that's 106, 146. All right, so then that's going to give us a nice 34 degrees. Yay! All right. So that's one. That's 21. Last one, 22. Okay. Again, I don't have a side opposite this angle. I don't even have other angles to help me solve. So I have to do the law of cosines. I am solving for little c, so that's going to start off my formula. C squared equals 6 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 6 times 13 cosine of 67. Now, right now, Cameron, you asked, is there a faster way to do this? This part, yes, because I have all numbers on the right-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually type in that exact thing I see straight into my calculator. So I'm going to do it. 6 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 6 times 13 cosine of 67. So literally, if you have one of the nice, I don't have a big table here. All right, so if you have one of the nicer calculators that I tell you is an inline, you could literally type everything straight in. All right, 6 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 6 times 13 cosine of 67, right? So when I hit enter, right, it spits out that beautiful number. Do not remove this number from your calculator. Okay, we're going to take the square root of this answer. So let's write that down. So c squared equals 140, oh my gosh, 144.0459, etc. Don't care, okay? Take the square root of that, right? Hopefully my calculator is not going to be a butthead. It did become a butthead. Good job. There we go. Okay. And so I get a nice solid 12.00 whatever. So we can say that that's a length of 12. Now that you know that this is a 12, right, we can go ahead now and say, hey, if this is 12, we can use the law of sines to find the next angle. Now, the question says now you're going to solve for the smallest angle for this type. So the next angle you're solving for is A, because it's across from the 6. So we're going to say sine of 67 over 12 equals sine of A over 6. Cross multiplied, you get 12 sine of A equal to 6 sine of 67. I can math. All right, divide both sides by 12. So sine of A equals 6 sine of 67. Why do I keep avoiding or not writing? Oh well. Now we're just going to type that beautiful thing into your calculator with inverse sine. All right. That's going to give you an answer. Then you're going to work your way from there. Inverse sine 6 sine 67. Close that off. Divided by 12. And I get 27.4, so that's going to give us 27 degrees. So again, being lazy, I know 67 plus 27 is going to be 94. So 180 minus 94, that's going to give us a nice, what is that, 86 degrees? So that means that angle B is 86 degrees. All right, Ariana, hopefully that helped you out. Ethan and Elijah, we're going to cover 13 next. Then Cameron will look at 5 and 6, okay? So 13, let's take a look at that. All right. I've got this beautiful triangle here that has an angle given to me. I'm trying to solve for its opposite side. I'm given the hypotenuse. What trig function uses the opposite and the hypotenuse? For 21, it's 35 degrees for angle P. $35. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you for checking. Ethan, you get an extra credit point because you're the best. Yeah, 7 and that makes a 5, so that is a 35. You are absolutely right. Wow. No, hold on, hold on. Are you sure, Ethan? You need to double check that because I got the 47, I got the 98, the 47 didn't round. No, never mind. I take that back. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're my boy. All right, Ethan, you get an extra credit point. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's check this out. So SOHCAHTOA, sine of 32 equals x over 8, right? So multiply both sides by 8. Wubba lubba dub dubs. X equals 8 sine of 32. Now, question. Because some of you guys, I've seen you do this before, and it scares me. Some of y'all think, oh, divide both sides by sine of 32, and then now, no. You're getting the variable by itself. It is now by itself. Don't you dare do extra work. Don't be extra, okay? Don't do that. 8 sine 32, okay? So I got this nice 4.32. I don't even know my... You know what would help if I move the chat? Wow. I'm not that bright. Ah! My sister is annoying me. Okay, so 4.23, blah, blah, blah. So let's keep that answer. Actually, before I do keep it, let's check the directions. Round sides to the nearest tenth. Okay, let's keep it to the nearest tenth. So that's going to be a 4.2. Yay! Now I'm going to use that 4.2 to help me solve for angle y. That is this triangle here. Right? So with respect to y, x is the opposite, 6 is the adjacent. That's screaming tangent. So tangent of y equals x over 6, but hey, we know what x is. It's 4.2. So now y equals inverse tangent of 4.2 over 6. Okay, so then check that out. Y equals do 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 do. Why? Oh my gosh. I keep hitting the wrong button. Alright, and we get a nice 34.99. So I believe that rounds up to a 35. So then y equals 35 degrees. Alright. We took care of 13 for both Ethan and Elijah. Ethan's got the brownie points. Good job, dude. Cameron, we're going to do 5 and 6. Right? So on number 5, Cameron, you see this trapezoid. And you're thinking, Mr. T, there's no way that we did trapezoids when we're dealing with triangles. You're partially right. Right? If we decide, hey, I'm going to cut this line down here, I create a special right triangle. Oh, you guys. Friendly competition. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to look at this triangle. Oh my gosh. No. Okay, cool. I thought I disconnected my mic. Okay. So we're going to look at this triangle here. And I've given you the hypotenuse. In a 45, 45, 90, the legs are the same. So I'm going to want to solve for both of those legs. Well, if remember that the hypotenuse is just leg times the square root of 2, just replace what you know. 4 rad 2 equals leg rad 2. Alright, so then divide both sides by rad 2. Okay, so then my leg is equal to 4. So this is a 4, that is a 4. Now that 4, Cameron, represents only part of that entire length of 15. This part is the part we're solving for. Because right now this total is 15. This little piece is 4. So if I do 15 minus 4, that's going to give me a nice 11. So since that length is 11, it translates to that part there. So therefore that length is also 11. Y is the same exact thing. This length just transfers here, since this side and this side are both parallel, they are congruent. by definition of a trapezoid. So y equals 4. All right, number 6, same thing as what Elijah and Ethan were both asking. All right, so again, I'm dealing with a special right triangle here. I kind of need this in order to solve this. So what I'm doing here is I'm seeing, hey, same thing. Hypotenuse equals leg times the square root of 2. So 7 rad 2 equals, oh, you know what's kind of cool is that one of the legs is labeled as y. So let's use y. And then divide out the rad 2. So then y equals 7. Now we have another triangle here. We have this 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. So what I got to do here is I got to say, hey, now I know the side that's across from the 30. The side across from the 30 is the short leg. What is x? Well, x is not the hypotenuse, so it's got to be the long leg. My long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. I know that length now. Boom. X equals 7 rad 3. Yeah, it's just the ratio. It's just your formula. It's just, you know, knowing, hey, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, what are my two relationships? In a 45, 45, 90 triangle, what is my relationship? It's just those two things. Okay? Now, I did tell everyone this today. If I see you using trig on those first few questions, I am not going to give you any credit, even if the answers are correct. Okay, you've got to be good at following directions. If you're not following directions, you're not going to get the points. You've got to show me you can do it all those different ways. All right, I hold you guys to very high standards, and I expect you guys to uphold those standards. Okay? I don't know where we got the forward part, but okay. Let's take a look at number 17, because Ethan asked very nicely. He said, please. Okay, the world's tallest flagpole. And we will do 14 as well, Elijah, don't worry. So, flagpole, boom, horrible flag, okay. 282 feet, right? The shortest shadow cast by this pole is 137 feet long. So here's my shadow. This is 137 feet. Okay? To the nearest degree, what is the angle of elevation? Well, angle of elevation is going to be formed by the angles looking upward. Now, I know this probably wasn't my best drawing, so let me clean this up a bit. This angle here is our angle of elevation. So we're going to go ahead and solve for it. With respect to the angle, the 282 is opposite. The 137 is adjacent. So that's saying tangent. Tangent of x is going to equal 282 over 137. And I believe we have this really cool thing called an inverse tangent. Alright, now for the sake of time, I'm not going to do this on my calculator, but you should plug it in, make sure you get the right answer from the key. Okay? Let's see here. Elijah, you want 14. We're going to jump right to that. Ooh, yes, 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 yes. So this one, you beautiful children, some of you guys, I don't even know where to begin with some of you guys. I really don't. How do I put this? Perimeter. Perimeter means when you add up all the side lengths, they add up to 36. If you remember what a square is, you will know, hey, all four sides are equal. Okay? That means boom, boom, boom. Okay, take your 36 divided by 4, right? They have to divide out nicely. You're going to get a 9. So 9, 9, 9, 9. Find the length of the diagonal. Okay. Not that hard. Draw a diagonal. Boom. Okay. Now, you have a choice. You can say, hey, I can do the Pythagorean theorem here, right? It's a right triangle, because why not? 9 squared plus 9 squared equals, let's call it d squared, because that's a diagonal. But if you remember that in a square, when we draw the diagonal, it cuts it into 45 degrees on the two corners. I believe we have a special right triangle. That's our 45, 45, 90. Okay, so just remember that the hypotenuse, it's equal to the leg times rad 2. So then your diagonal is just simply 9 rad 2. You will get there eventually if you decide, hey, I want to use the Pythagorean theorem. But you don't have a lot of time, right? And you're limited. You have an hour and a half realistically to get through this entire test. You got to make the most of your time. All right? Okay. Mr. T's starting to get very tired. I know it's like 7:30, but you know, when you're in grad school, working on your paper, working with other people, it gets very tiring. I'm probably going to go sleep early. Key phrase probably. Right. Let's see what we've covered. We've covered a lot. Not the entire packet, but a decent chunk. This is actually not bad. We covered the hardest problems. Yeah, we basically covered the hardest problems in this entire thing. Alright, well, give you guys like maybe a couple minutes. Ask me any other simple questions. What's the long formula again? It's not that it's a long formula, it's that if you're solving the Pythagorean theorem, right, you would have 81 plus 81 equals d squared. So 81 plus 81, 162 equals, wow, I'm skipping a step, d squared. You're then going to take the square root of both sides. Now, I'm going to cheat a little because I already know what this one is. 162, remember it's 81 plus 81. That's the same thing as 2 times 81. Well, if I take the square root of both, I know the square root of 81 is 9. And I can't take the actual square root of 2. So there's that. Right, that's not the long formula. That's just, hey, I'm solving for the value of d. Huh. So tired. So tired. Any other questions, my little critters? Number 8. We'll make that one the last one, Elijah, before I go to sleep. Alright. Little stick figure. With respect to stick figure, the 46 is a wow, I totally was going to butcher that. With respect to the 46 degrees, 21 is opposite. Because the x is on the right angle, that's our hypotenuse. Not on the right angle, across from it. So this is so katoa sine. So we'll say sine of 46 degrees is equal to 21 over x. And I dropped my stylus. Good job, Mr. T. Okay. Multiply both sides by x. So then 21, wow, I don't know why I just did that. I never would have done that. X sine of 46 equals 21. Divide out the sine of 46. So then x equals 21 over sine of 46. Again, I'm going to leave that to you to type in your calculator. Cameron, I'll be nice and honor the 16 as well, but then that's it because I'm making as many mistakes as I am because I'm tired. Maybe if you guys got enough sleep, you wouldn't make as many mistakes on your test. That's a concept. Okay. Statue of Liberty, 200 feet above the ground. Again, don't worry about drawing, you're just getting, oh my gosh. You're just getting a, idea. So 250 feet. Okay. The tourist sees a ship coming from the harbor. The angle of depression is 18 degrees. I want to find the distance from the base of the statue. So I want to find this distance here. And we know that the angle of depression is 18. So here's our horizontal plane. And we've got 18 degrees. Now that 18 degrees we can transfer to here because they are alternate interior angles. So then we're going to have, let's see here, 18 points to here, so that's the opposite. X is the adjacent. So tangent. So tangent of 18 equals 250 over x times x. X tangent of 18 equals 250. Divide out tangent of 18. So then x equals 250 tangent of 18. And then you're going to type that into your calculator. It's not a big deal. We make mistakes like that all the time. I could tell you how many dumb mistakes even some of my friends make. They make really dumb ones. You just got to laugh them off. You got to live life. You got to be happy, okay? So, you learn from it. Mistakes are only stupid if you don't learn from them, right? You got to get back up. Got to keep fighting. Got to, do your best. That's all I ever ask you guys. And I know this sounds really dumb, but if you see the little thing that's above me right here, right, the biggest thing a lot of you guys have, you get scared, right? You see math, you get scared right away. But those of you guys in this live stream, hopefully you understand that you have this courage, to seek this wisdom, this math that will give you the power to do well on your test, right? Or just well in general, Cameron, you're asking me as if I typed it into my calculator. I don't know why you would do that. I'll humor you just because you'll humor me tomorrow. So 18, nope, 250 divided by tangent of 18. 769.4, yep, that looks good. Thank you, Elijah. You're my boy. Okay, I'm going to bed now because I'm tired, and I'm sure some other of you are tired. You guys gotta, get your work done. I'll edit the title of this so that it says Unit 6 Review instead of 6.1, 6.3 Quiz Review. I don't know why YouTube does that. I thought I fixed it. It doesn't work, but you know what? Yeah, I heard you were sick, Burger, so don't even worry. I'm not that mean. Just make sure you bring stuff to work on. I'll have stuff for you too, okay? All right, cool. Good night, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Stay classy and happy studying. One more thing, one thing I suggest you guys do, make a study guide. Literally, write out, draw the triangles you need to know the ratios for, write out your SOHCAHTOA, write what your angle of elevation and depression is, you know, your law of sines, law of cosines, right? You're gonna rewrite this, and this will actually help you with memorizing it, okay? That's just my 5 cents. Take it or leave it. Have a good night, y'all. Ethan, you got bragging rights until the next test. Just watch Elijah come back and, you know, get some redemption, all right? Good night, y'all. Take care.